But again, something like the free market is kind of synonymous with America. And if you don't like it, I don't know how you can say you love this country. You know who loves this country? You know who's not constantly complaining about what happened 200 years ago and who's not obsessed with seeing America through shit-colored glasses and shaking off the stench of what irredeemable privileged we are? Immigrants. AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun.
Once again, Bill Maher steps into the spotlight. Unapologetic, sharp-tongued, and ready to stir the pot. This time, his target isn't the usual suspects on the far right, but the fringe left, the crowd that seemed to despise America while glorifying nations with far darker histories. Over the past few years, Maher has watched his voices from the liberal side rip into America for every tiny imperfection. Sure, he admits some of their complaints hold weight, but he believes most of it is massively overblown, and when exaggeration becomes the norm, Maher does what he does best. He steps up to deliver a reality check. What followed was classic Bill Maher, bold, biting, and brutally honest. So buckle up, because this takedown wasn't just talk, it was fireworks.
Too many liberals give the impression that to them, America's just a big, ugh. The red, white, and ew. A country that started out bad and will always be bad, founded on an unrelenting history of sucking and unable to change. But we have changed a lot. Democrat Cori Bush tweeted, "This land is stolen land and black people still aren't free." And this was on the 4th of July. Really? Not that I give a shit about the 4th of July. I've never been a rah-rah guy. But I am a perspective guy. And that's what too much of the left has lost, perspective.
A hint of sadness in Maher's voice as he speaks. A frustration born not from hate, but from disappointment. Sometimes, he admits, it genuinely hurts to see how the left can find nothing good in this country. To him, it's as if some people wake up each day searching for a new reason to condemn America, digging through history for every past sin, every injustice, to forever hang over the nation's head. They chant that this is stolen land, he says. But if we're being honest, nearly every nation on earth was shaped by conquest or conflict, even the very ones that critics love to glorify. Then comes another claim, that black Americans still aren't truly free. Yet, Maher reminds them, this is the same country that once chose a black man to lead it, not symbolically, but through the will of its people. Progress, he argues, isn't perfect. It never is, but to deny it altogether is dishonest. That's what makes Maher's message sting with truth. America isn't flawless, but it's not the villain it's painted to be. Despite its scars and struggles, it remains one of the few nations still brave enough to keep fighting to be better.
72% of black people under 30 are optimistic about their future in America. Way more than white people the same age. And as far as the land goes, yes, I guess we could change the name of Captain America to Captain Stolen Land.
Maher doesn't hold back now. His tone sharpens, cutting through the noise. Trust me, he warns, even that won't satisfy the woke mob. No matter how often people apologize or try to make things right, it's never enough. The demands just keep coming more extreme each time. He mocks the absurdity of it all. What do they want? For everyone to pack up, hand over the keys, and abandon America altogether? It's not justice, he argues, it's delusion. And it's exactly this kind of impossible idealism that's driving so many people away from the far left fringe. Their crusade, Maher says, has become detached from reality, a never-ending cycle of guilt and punishment. You can't build a better future by endlessly condemning the present for the past. What's meant to unite people now only pushes them apart. At some point, he insists, the country must stop trying to appease those who will never be satisfied and start focusing on what truly moves it forward. Because progress isn't found in endless apology, it's found in action.
But honestly, to all the people who start every public event now with one of those land acknowledgments, where they say, I'm standing on land that was stolen from the proud indigenous people of the Chumash tribe, I say either give it back or shut.
Maher nods, his expression firm. Yeah, enough is enough, he says. Enough with the pandering. Enough with the hollow speeches. And enough with the virtue signaling. The so-called woke liberals, he argues, have mastered the art of sounding righteous without actually doing anything meaningful. They stand on stages and deliver elegant land acknowledgments, poetic phrases meant to show awareness and empathy. But Maher cuts through performance. What does that really change? A few well-crafted sentences before a conference or concert don't alter history, nor do they improve anyone's life in the present. If they truly mean what they say, Maher challenges, then prove it. Start by giving back your own land, your homes, your universities, your offices. But of course, that's where the show stops. The words are easy. The sacrifices never come. That's why Maher's point hits hard, because it exposes the truth. This obsession with appearances has turned real activism into performance art. What America needs isn't more grandstanding or applause lines. It needs honesty, courage, and practical solutions. Without that, all those noble acknowledgments are just echoes fading into the void.
AOC says so many people in this country hate women. Oh, geez. Even the guy at the party who pulls out a guitar is like, way to ruin the fun.
Maher leans forward, his tone steady but resolute. Let's get one thing straight, he begins. There isn't a single country on earth today that protects the rights and freedoms of women more than America. From classrooms to boardrooms, from the ballot box to the highest offices, women in the United States enjoy liberties that millions across the globe can only imagine. Equal access to education, careers, and leadership. These aren't just promises here. They're realities fought for and won over generations. So when figures like AOC claim that America doesn't like women simply because voters didn't choose Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris, Maher can't help but call it out for what it is: dishonest and lazy thinking. Elections, he reminds us, aren't gender contests or moral guilt trips. They're about competence, leadership, and vision. Americans shouldn't be shamed into voting just to check a diversity box. Kamala Harris, for instance, didn't lose because she's a woman. She lost because she failed to convince voters she was the right person for the job. True empowerment, Maher argues, isn't blind support. It's equal accountability. Respecting women means holding every candidate, male or female, to the same high standard of merit and integrity.
Congressman Jamal Bowman says capitalism is slavery by another name. No, it's not. It's the thing that has given more people more prosperity and hope than any other system, flawed though it surely is. But
Maher nods, his voice measured but unyielding. Look, he says, capitalism isn't perfect, but neither is democracy. Still, both remain the best systems we've ever created for innovation, progress, and individual freedom. Compared to socialism or communism, ideologies of far left increasingly romanticizes. Capitalism has actually lifted millions out of poverty and rewarded ambition, effort, and creativity. To be fair, Maher admits, not every liberal dreams of a socialist America. But there's no denying the shift. More and more young progressives are starting to see redistribution and equity as magic fixes for complex problems. He points to voices like Ilhan Omar and other rising figures who manage to romanticize socialism, dressing it up as something compassionate and just. Yet, history tells a harsher story, one of economic failure, repression, and lost freedom. The irony, Maher says, couldn't be clearer. These same activists enjoy the luxuries, the freedom of speech, and the opportunities that only a capitalist democracy can provide, all while demanding the system's destruction. It's a contradiction that exposes the danger of ideology over reality, tearing down the very foundation that allows you to speak freely against it.
But again, something like the free market is kind of synonymous with America. And if you don't like it, I don't know how you can say you love this country. You know who loves this country? You know who's not constantly complaining about what happened 200 years ago and who's not obsessed with seeing America through shit-colored glasses? and shaking off the stench of what irredeemable privileged we are? Immigrants.
Maher leans in, his words laced with conviction. Think about it, he says. If America were really the nightmare some make out to be, then why are people all over the world risking everything just to get here? Every single day, families sell their homes, empty their life savings, and walk away from everything familiar, all for a chance at the American dream. People pay fortunes in their local currencies just to set foot on U.S. soil. They're not chasing fantasy. They're chasing hope. Because despite its flaws, America still stands for freedom, opportunity, and a better life. Even the nations that the left glorifies as more progressive or more humane have citizens lining up American embassies desperate for visas. That alone tells the real story. If the U.S. were as terrible as critics claim, people would be leaving, not arriving in droves. Maher's point lands hard. People don't flee to failure. They run toward freedom. And in an imperfect world, America still burns the brightest as that beacon of hope.
Ask any of them why they came here, and they will tell you the same thing. Ron DeSantis put me on a plane. But they will also tell you that America, for all that's so shitty about it right now, is still the last best hope. And those people asking for our votes to take it over should remember that.
Maher lets out a knowing sigh. You know what? He begins. The Democrats' constant America bashing isn't helping them. It's hurting them. He points out the obvious truth. You can't win people's hearts by convincing them their own country is beyond redemption. If the left truly wants to trust in the votes of everyday Americans, Maher argues they need to start acknowledging what's right with this nation, celebrate its progress, its resilience, its relentless pursuit of freedom. No, America isn't flawless, but it's still a land of possibility, the place where dreams are chased and often realized. Meanwhile, the GOP has mastered a message that connects. Make America Great Again may be a slogan, but it's one rooted in pride, not guilt, in hope, not shame. It reminds people that believing in your country doesn't make you naive. It makes you invested. Maher's challenge to the left is simple yet sharp. Stop tearing down the house you live in just to look morally superior. Patriotism isn't a dirty word. It's the foundation of unity. Until Democrats rediscover that, he warns, they'll keep losing ground to a party that still believes America is worth fighting for.
And that is what's so odd about this time that we're living in. For all the talk about fighting for the soul of America, nobody seems to like it very much.
Maher's tone turns reflective, almost somber. Anyone who hopes to lead this nation, he says, must first inspire us to love it again. Real leadership, in his eyes, isn't about drawing lines between people or fueling ideological battles. It's about reminding Americans of what binds them together. He recalls the Democrats' bold promise, the Build Back Better plan, a vision for a stronger, fairer America. But after years in power, what did the country actually get? A national conversation dominated by endless debates over pronouns, gender identity, and abortion. Maher doesn't dismiss these topics. He acknowledges they matter, but he also points out the obvious. They shouldn't overshadow the deeper struggles weighing on everyday Americans. While the public worried about inflation, job security, a broken border, and national safety, the administration seemed trapped in culture wars that did little put food on the table or restore faith in system. For Maher, a true leader is someone who can rise above the noise, someone who refocuses the nation's energy on what truly matters, unity, prosperity, and pride in being American. Because without those, no policy or slogan can hold a country together.
You can get creative with a novel, a TV show, or a movie, but history books, that's not supposed to be fan fiction. How we teach our kids history has become a big controversy these days, with liberals accusing conservatives of wanting to whitewash the past, and sometimes that's true. Sometimes they do. But plenty of liberals also want to abuse history to control the present. And last month, a scholar named James Sweet caught hell for calling them out for doing just that. He criticized a phenomenon known as presentism, which means judging everyone in the past by the standards of the present.
Maher's closing words carry both frustration and clarity. It's not enough for fringe left to criticize America's present, he says. They've now made it their mission to dismantle its past. To them, the present is never good enough, and the past is beyond forgiveness. The nation's founders, its history, even its symbols, all are condemned under the impossible standard of perfection. Every achievement is picked apart until only the flaws remain. Maher shakes his head. It's exhausting and worse, counterproductive. You can't build a better future, he reminds, by hating the past that made the present possible. Yes, America has stumbled, as every nation has, but it's also grown, reformed, and led the world forward in ways few others have. That's why, Maher insists, it's nearly impossible to satisfy the perpetually outraged. The goalposts keep shifting, and no amount of progress ever seems enough for those who view everything through resentment instead of perspective. In the end, his message rings loud and true. America isn't perfect, but remains the greatest experiment in freedom the world has ever seen. Real progress doesn't begin with shame. It begins with gratitude. It's time, Maher says, to stop apologizing for America and start believing in it again. And with that, he signs off, inviting viewers to hit like, subscribe, and join him again as he continues to challenge, provoke, and remind us why this messy, imperfect nation is still worth fighting for.